Welcome back folks, highly anticipated patch for Crimson Desert is out, specifically the patch 1.04, which brings a lot of stuff that people were expecting and some of the stuff that Pearl Abyss has previously announced. Which adds game difficulty settings, new storage items, new pets, keyboard and mouse and controller preset options, new category tabs for inventory, new skills, improvement to distant scenery and much more that we are going to go through with this video. Now bear with me because well, there is a lot of stuff to test and I've been testing this through the entire morning because well, the update arrived very early for me. But first things first, we're gonna be starting with content. So easy, normal and hard difficulty options have been added. To change them you can go into settings and play. Now for the experienced Greymains looking for more intense and thrilling combat, hard difficulty offers a more challenging journey. And also keep in mind, for those who have enjoyed many boss fights and are looking to challenge them again, the boss rematches feature allowing you to face off against bosses of your choice will be added soon. I have been extensively testing these difficulty options and I will tell you the hard difficulty is no joke. But first off, when it comes to easy, they've reduced damage taken by the player. They've also reduced the maximum health, aggressiveness and overall speed of opponents. They've extended timing windows for parry and dodge, and they've reduced the frequency of bosses attempting to counterattack or escape when hit. This means if you're looking for a more leaned back challenge, well, this is going to be significantly easier than the normal mode. Because the normal difficulty is the difficulty we have been playing so far, so if you just want to continue playing with the, difficulty of the enemies that you have been kinda getting used to so far, you can just keep it on normal. But for the hard difficulty, food item effects won't be applied immediately and will only take effect after the consumption animation is complete. This makes everything a lot more difficult because, well, in general, the spamming food has been one of the ways when you're gonna be fighting bosses. They've also increased the damage taken by the player, they've increased the maximum health, aggressiveness and overall speed of the opponents, they've reduced the timing window for parry and dodge, reduced the invincibility duration for all, they've also increased the frequency of bosses attempting to counterattack or escape when hit, so keep in mind, when you fight a boss now, especially as I said on hard difficulty, that is not going to be easy, they're gonna be hitting you hard. And also they've added additional combat patterns to certain bosses, making them even more challenging. As I said, after testing the damage and everything else when it comes to this, honestly, like the hard one, I would not actually recommend it until you maybe play through the game a bit more or maybe you wanted that additional challenge, but at the same time, if you have a build which is already pretty broken against like certain, let's say, normal enemy types like bandits and whatever, playing on the hard difficulty is going to make them a lot more viable because let's face it, if you have all of the Abyss gears equipped and you already have all of the armor and weapons fully upgraded, they have been kind of a joke, but now they're going to be, well, something to behold. I think this option is, well, fantastic for people who want to experience the game in a different way, but again, if you just want to keep things as they were, you can continue playing on the normal difficulty and nothing is going to change. So now one thing I would also recommend when you're playing on the hard difficulty is to really prepare for certain bosses. That means if a certain boss has a application of a certain element like fire or frost or something like that, well, you're gonna have to equip certain armor which brings you a lot more defense against it, and including changing up your Abyss gears which are going to work better against them, especially when it comes to some of the parrying and dodging options, because when you're playing on the hard difficulty, parrying and dodging, especially parrying, is going to be paramount when it comes to actually defeating them. Now as far as the housing goes, they have changed a lot here, especially when it comes to adding many things that people were requesting. They have added the sturdy gatherable chest which can be set up with the housing system. Now the chest itself has 1,000 slots and can be purchased from the furniture shop, so not difficult to obtain. Now the materials which are stored in those gatherable chests can be used for crafting or refining equipment even if they're not carried in your inventory. I think this is big because, well, every single time you have to kinda guess or prepare in advance all of the items which you're gonna be using to refine or craft, but now you can just go to the refining in your camp, and it's going to be incredibly easy to do it, because if you have those resources, you can just use them. They've also added the cuckoo cooler and the enhanced cuckoo cooler items, which can be placed within the housing system. The cuckoo cooler can be obtained through a quest, so keep that in mind, while the enhanced cuckoo cooler can be crafted. Both can be used to store food items and ingredients. The cuckoo cooler has 40 slots and the enhanced one has 330 slots, so a significant upgrade. And as it was with the previous chest, those ingredients stored in either coolers can be used for cooking even if they're not carried in your inventory, so you must have it if you want to do it through that way. They've also added the collectible chest that can be placed through the housing modes. The collectible chest can be used to store various quest items and crafting recipes. So everything which you maybe haven't sold, or stuff which you just don't want to keep in your inventory and want to keep for later, maybe for reading, well, you can store it there. And also the collectible chest has 1,000 slots and can be obtained also through a quest. As far as the outfit storage for wardrobe goes, that can also be placed through the housing mode. It can be purchased from the furniture shop, so no quest for it. Now each wardrobe provides 100 storage slots, and the total capacity increased is based on the number of wardrobes placed, and the maximum outfit storage capacity is 1,000 slots, so basically 10 wardrobes. But keep in mind, if you do want to keep some of this stuff in the private storage, you can keep it. They've also added the select house option, where you can change the layout of your house. So what does this mean? Well, selectable house types unlock based on the Greymane Camp expansion level. So you have the compact house, the starting one, the standard house, spacious house, and the spacious Paleneuse house, which you do actually unlock when you move your camp. I do also recommend waiting until you reach Payloon or move everything to Payloon, but honestly, if you just want to redo it again, you can just redo it when you move your camp. And also, as you can see in the gameplay, they've improved the housing mode related UI and controls, which is really good, because honestly sometimes it felt a little bit wonky, but now with these improved just ways of doing it, it's a lot better if people want to go and kind of do housing even more. Because they also added the function that allows all furniture items placed through the housing modes to be retrieved all at once, so no need to do it one by one anymore. I think this is really good. I think one of the options maybe that can be added in the future is that it remembers certain things that you already placed. You can just redo it in that sense, you don't have to do it again. It would be a nice quality of life improvement, but we shall see if they do that. They've also improved the Greymane Camp. What does this mean? Well, after moving the camp to Payloon, you will receive the private storage item, which can be placed through the housing mode. This is big because, well, you can now choose where you're going to place it, and this is really good if you just want to have things in one place. And also they have added a well to the Howling Hill in case you need all of that water for cooking. They've also improved the following items, which were previously unstackable, to now stack in inventory. So finally, the regular abyss gears, insects, fish, and animals can be stacked. They're not going to take up huge just space in your inventory, so this is fantastic, honestly great. Another big feature is that they added birds as pets. Yes, you can have all of those new companions, which are, you can encounter them through Pywell. So they added a new item which allows you to gain trust with the birds. This is good. They've placed various types of food that birds might like on the Sauté of Bond to feed them and gain trust. And the Sauté of Bond can be obtained through a quest itself, so just keep that in mind. It's not going to be appearing just by default. You have to do this quest. For all of you cat lovers, they have added 5 new types of cat pets, so this is also big. They've also improved the Abyss Hooklang so that it can become your pet. So I know a lot of people were kind of, wanting to have this. So yes, they have finally added this in the game. And a big change when it comes to horses and pets is that they added a function to change the names of those horses and pets. So now you can rename them to the ones you want. Now another thing, which was a sort of a fix but the developers found a way to make it into a feature, is that they fixed an issue where the cats could remain on the player's shoulder indefinitely, contrary to the intended design. However, considering that many Greymanes actually liked these cat behaviors, they've added the item that allows cats to stay on the shoulder for a longer period of time. Yes, it's happening. So to do this, they have added the accessory slot for pets, which will allow pets to now take a wider variety of roles, meaning they've added Sigil of Bonding. Equipping this item on a pet cat ensures it stays longer on your shoulder. When it comes to Cliff and Unka, they've added two new one-handed weapons, Tree Branch and the Sturdy Tree Branch. To get these items, you can obtain them by cutting down trees and bamboo trees, so just go and do it and you're gonna be getting new one-handed weapons. As far as the Cliff goes, they've added a new Battalion armor outfit, and also they have changed the Rekia plate helm to the Battalion plate helm and improved it so that it can be equipped by Cliff. And the new Battalion armor outfit is pretty cool looking. Now, if you just wanted more outfits in general, you can go and get this one. They've also added additional outfits to certain shops, including the back alley shop, so if you go and visit them here, you can see what they have in offer right now. And also, I would recommend visiting every other trader because they might have something really cool. They've also improved the Cuckoo Flame resistant armor and the Cuckoo Ice resistant armor so that it can now be dyed. I think this was something that was highly requested by the people because, well, once you do it, you were not able to dye it, but now you actually can. And also they have added various ores and wells across Pywell, so just in the quantity number there is going to be a lot more which you can visit, especially when it comes to ores. I mean, later on you will need a lot of them for the equipment refining, or if you want to switch gears you kind of have to go and get it, so now you just have more locations to do it. Now when it comes to certain nerfs, they have reduced the amount of attack and defense gained from equipment reinforcement with grindstones and anvils, so yes, those things have been kinda adjusted now. Another thing that has finally been fixed is the cloud cart. Because it couldn't have been called, now you can call it. So they improved the cloud cart so it can be used as a permanent mount now, yes. That's actually a feature now. And they changed the cloud card crafting mission so it can only be completed once, so it's not going to be bugged anymore. They've also improved the prices of goods sold by the Greymane NPCs so they can be bought at a 10% discount. This makes it even more viable for Cliff to go into your camp and get all of those things, because I think it makes more sense after everything we have done for the camp and how much we have contributed that at least give us something for it. Now for all of you livestock aficionados, they've added the livestock vendors across Pywell. This is good because we don't have to steal them anymore. So livestock such as cows, pigs, goats, sheep, ducks and chickens can be purchased from those NPCs. So yes, this is good. They've also added 13 new tattoos for characters, so as you can see, which I'm using right now, there is a lot which you can choose and kinda go like with the character you want to go with. And a huge change which is finally going to prevent people from selling or donating items which were sort of important is that they added a lock function that prevents selling or discarding the selected items. So keep that thing in mind so that you don't accidentally do something which is going to lose you a very good or a rare item. Especially when it comes to weapons and armor. I mean, this is huge. They've also finally improved gathering and mining so that the quantity of items obtained is applied consistently. Thank you very much for this. Because I do gather and mine a lot, and these things that were kind of like going like 1 or 2 sometimes, they were problematic for me, so this is pretty good. Especially if you're gonna be using tools which make more sense to give you more of those, quantity of items. They've also improved resting in bed so that the player's character counter gets up immediately afterwards, so it's not going to be like when you click and then you have to click again so that Cliff gets out of the bed. That's now going to be automatic. Cool. They've also improved NPCs that show a wider variety of reaction to their surroundings. I mean, they were sort of cool, but kind of limited in that sense, so now as you can see, they're going to have some more reactions, especially when you do certain actions around them. And also, as a part of the ongoing visual improvements, they replaced the select to the visual assets to better align with the game's art direction. I think this might be some of the leftovers from before, especially when it comes to that AI art, or well, maybe some of the things which were not looking good within the game, so now they have been improved as well. When it comes to controls, they have added a preset feature for both keyboard and mouse and controllers. So what does this mean? Well, the original controls are available via the classic presets, and the more detailed controller customization will also be added soon, but just having these presets is really good. Also, a huge change, they've added a feature where when the interaction key is pressed, the corresponding action is performed immediately. What does this mean? Well, every single time now you have the item, if you press the button to pick it up, you can pick it up immediately, no more pressing and holding until it picks up. Now for the keyboard and mouse, this feature is located in the settings, input, keyboard and mouse customization, and it also can be used when the UI interaction section does not overlap with the keys in the default input group. If the keys do overlap, the section will be highlighted in yellow. I think this is fantastic, honestly, much better, and makes things just easier, like just from the quality of life and going from the controls themselves, and they're not going to be that annoying anymore, so this is pretty cool. But for the controller, this feature can be used through the default settings in the settings, input and then controller customization. They've also finally improved the controls for aiming. Thank you very much, because I've been using bow more and more lately and this is just much better, and just in general for aiming with like the lanterns and all of that, it is much better. So specifically, they've added a function that allows you to turn your lantern on and off while aiming. Perfect, great, I love it. They've also improved the control so that even when a weapon is drawn, pressing aim while there is an interactable target nearby will immediately switch to aim instead of guard. But specifically for a controller, they've improved the map so that it can now be opened while holding the DualSense touchpad or on the Xbox controller's view button, so this is pretty good for everyone who is maining the controller. When it comes to combat and action, this patch brings a ton of changes. First off, as they said, they have adjusted the overall balance of bosses. And alongside that, they have changed bosses so they are no longer immune to player attacks while performing powerful attacks. This is pretty good. They've also adjusted the frequency at which bosses counterattack or escape while being hit consecutively, so things are gonna be changing this way now. Sometimes it's going to be a bit more difficult, sometimes not, depending on which boss you're gonna be fighting. And also, as they said previously, some of the attack patterns of certain bosses have been adjusted so that they don't spam anymore, and every single time that happens it can sort of ruin the fight because there is nothing you can do even if you do a successful parry or a successful dodge. They've also increased the damage taken from elemental status ailments. They've also slightly reduced the damage dealt when hitting enemies with pillars or trees, so what people have been doing now, well, it's not going to be working as effectively as before. They've also added new charging states for the force palm push, so the skill can be charged up to 3 stages, with the damage increasing progressively, so keep that in mind if you're gonna be using it. They've improved the overall speed of examine when examining items, pretty good, I like it. They've improved the speed of pushing or rotating objects during puzzles, thank you very much, because some of them have been slow, especially when it comes to like making those images and like just setting up those like cubes and carrying them so you can combine the image, which is now going to solve the puzzle. That's going to be a lot faster now. They've improved the follow-up attack so that they connect more quickly even when the initial attack is blocked. So this means your combat flow is going to be a lot faster and a lot better. They've also changed the blinding flash so that it can be used in areas where weapons cannot be drawn. I think this is pretty good because you can now double check if there is a teleporter nearby or maybe some other points of interest. And also they changed the blinding flash so that it is used towards the target currently being faced during combat. Pretty cool change. They've also improved the attack chaining after using dodge during unarmed combat, so if you're gonna be going for that, it's going to be a lot more viable to use it now. Now as far as Cliff goes, they have added the new skill, Weapon Throw, usable while dual wielding. This ability can be used with the same controls as the Shield Bash. But keep in mind, weapons can be retrieved by pressing the same controls or by approaching it, so just keep in mind where you're gonna be throwing those weapons because, well, don't lose them. As far as UI fixes and improvements go, they've improved the inventory so that the items can be viewed through category tabs. Yes, tabs, finally, I love tabs. There are 5 categories: all, documents, equipment, food, materials, and others. Also, the sort settings for each inventory category are saved and will remain in effect even after restarting the game. Thank you very much, because every single time you go into the game again, you have to then spam to go to the type and it wouldn't remember, so now this is pretty good. And also the same category tabs will be also added to the private storage in the near future, so future updates. And they added filters and search function to the map. Finally, some map improvements. But also they've improved the map and minimap so that the icons are displayed for the obtained memory fragments. Because after memory fragments are obtained, lanterns will no longer display a detection signal, so you don't have to think or worry that maybe you have bugged out or maybe you have missed something, it's not going to display it again. They've also added a feature that allows players to choose the shape and color of the map markers. They've improved the map to display the stock status of shops items for shops with whom maximum trust has been reached. This is also pretty good. And also they've improved the map and minimap to display well icons. They've improved the minimap to display north, south, east and west, so another really good change. When it comes to graphics and settings, they have done a lot of stuff here. First off, they've improved the rendering quality of distant objects and textures. The higher the graphics settings, the more enhanced details and visual clarity will be, as you can see in my gameplay. This is something which has already been announced previously. So as you can see, like in the distance especially, some of these like details, like you can see on the hills and the trees and everything, makes things a little bit better in my opinion, and just makes it so that the like LOD or well level of detail, which does render out depending on your distance, the switch on it is more natural and in general just looks better. So I think this is a pretty cool improvement. I mean, it wasn't really something which was, you know, on the top of like maybe requested things that people were kind of hoping for, but at least slowly but surely doing all of these changes to make the game just look better depending on, well, again, what settings you use is pretty good. Now, they fixed an additional issue where the background objects that should only appear under certain conditions were always visible from a distance. As far as the accessibility goes, I think there are some very good things, because first off, they've added the colorblind mode option in the settings. Then accessibility, I think this is really good thing to have, especially for people who are colorblind. They've added a chromatic aberration option in settings, then accessibility again, and also they have added the photosensitive mode option in these settings, then accessibility. I think these changes very much, you know, kinda good to have. On PC specifically, they've improved the quality of the AMD FSR ray regeneration, and also they've improved the quality of the Intel XeSS 3.0 upscaling and the Intel XeSS frame generation. Here is how it looks right now. now, especially when you compare it to the FSR and DLSS. Honestly, I can see some improvements here because initially the Intel XeSS implementation was really not good, making it, well, especially blurry, and the details and everything were not really that visible. So yes, it does look a little bit better now, but I think that some of those like improvements are gonna be added in the future as well, because they just recently added the Intel Arc support. So I think there's gonna be like a few more changes to this to make it even more viable as far as the stability and gameplay goes. So first off, they've changed the load menu to display a notice in a slot if the save data is corrupted or invalid. Again, I do say if you can, just back up your saves like every few days, because if you're doing something, especially if you're on PC and you're doing some modding, you might want to back up all of those saves, because if you don't, there is always a chance something is going to be, well, corrupted, and you don't want to lose all of that progress. And I also advise to have like just more like save slots. Like I have 4 manual save slots which I do rotate or just overwrite every single time there is something important happening. They also fixed an issue that caused the game to crash if HDR was enabled on a monitor that does not support HDR. And they fixed several stability and crash issues across PC, console and Mac, but they were not specified what exactly. And for the end, when it comes to other fixes, they've added tumbleweeds in the desert region. So as you can see right now, if you do go to the Crimson Desert, eventually you're going to see those tumbleweeds. I think, why not? I mean, it's the desert, let's add them. They fixed an issue where the display weapon setting was not applied properly in certain cutscenes and gameplay situations. This was kind of a thing now because they've added those options to remove like the shield and what weapon is going to be shown on your back. So sometimes it tends to fail, sometimes like the shield is drawn out, sometimes not. So this is now properly fixed. They fixed an issue where the target location would display incorrectly when bounty target quest failed. They fixed the bounty system so that if the player's bounty is too high to turn in a bounty target, keep in mind that if you do bring them now, it will trigger an arrest state instead of the handover cutscene, so kinda big. They've improved comrade behavior so that they do not attack bounty targets, but as far as the general AI goes for them, I mean, they are pretty much as they were the same. They fixed an issue where after completing certain quests, tracking of the subsequent quest did not trigger properly. Also, they've improved the journal to indicate whether a quest target has been dispatched on a mission. This is also good just to keep a track of everyone within the camp. They've improved the progress display for the cumulative quests such as to the rescue. They fixed an issue where in the prologue, enemies would not recognize the player after the player rested in bed. Sort of a very weird bug, but I honestly haven't had it. And I went through the prologue quite a while back, so I don't know if it was the case. They fixed an issue that caused an infinite loading screen to appear if the player was caught cheating at duo as Umka, so yes, this is now better. They fixed an issue where the Greater Abyss gear could not be sold, so you can sell it now if you want. They fixed enhancement materials, crafting materials, and reinforcement levels that have been set differently from the equipment material type. And also, they fixed various other in-game issues which were not specified here. And this brings us to the end of this review and preview of the patch. Honestly, there was a lot here. This is probably one of their biggest patches so far. Even the patch itself on Steam was about 37 gigabytes, so quite a bit, especially because, well, they had to handle all of those like textures and everything within the visual distance. I think that was one of the major reasons that, why that was the case. But yeah, this was great. I mean, this patch is fantastic. I mean, they're working really hard. I mean, initially when they said that all of these changes are coming, I was not expecting to see them so fast. And it's not even the end of April and they're bringing all of those changes. So I'm looking forward to everything else which they have announced. I think it's gonna be a little bit while until we see those changes, because when you have a patch this big, there's gonna be a lot of hot fixes which were already identified and some of the things which I've seen, and they're probably going to focus on those hot fixes to fix some of the things which were implemented here before they move on onto another big patch. But there is a lot of things that people are also looking forward to, and by this pace, I mean, we're gonna be getting it pretty soon. So thank you for watching. I don't want to drag this video even further because it's going to be incredibly long. I can see it already, especially after testing all of this. And if you enjoyed it, consider liking and subscribing for more. Tell me down below what do you think about all of this. Check us out on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye.